Did Revenant become the best legend in Apex Legends? Well, there's some things that have maybe pointed us in the right direction. How good is Octane, or at least will Octane be after the adjustments that they've made to his launch pad, increasing it by pretty much 50%? And did Lifeline getting significant buffs to put her in the meta after these hitbox reductions? And will Bloodhound finally be taken from the top spot in the recon? Plus, how can we not talk about this Wattson major buff? All that and more coming up in today's video on Rain Day Gaming. My name is Rain Day. Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be doing an Apex Legends Genesis tier list based on all of these patch notes changes that have changed these legends and given us an insight based on watching the latest ALGS $2.5 million tournament and seeing exactly where the meta has taken us there and where it is going. If you want to know about high level, if you want to know where you should place your energy and your focus as an Apex Legends player and understand the details from that type of perspective, you've come to the right video. Hopefully you guys are doing well today. I'm being bold today because I'm having morning coffee literally right now, but I had to put on Brain Day because you guys love it when I put the glasses on. You know, give some love to Brain Day in the comment section. I'm smarter with glasses. Anybody that says they're not smarter with glasses is lying to you. They're dumb. All right, let's get back to the list. I want to talk first about Octane. Where does Octane go? Octane, does he drop down because of this buff or his nerf to the jump pad stem? No, he is an S tier legend. Octane is the most popular legend in Apex Legends, guys. I don't know if you realize this, but in terms of pick rate and in terms of just general success over the course of people playing him, Octane ranks #1. Why is that? It's because he's fun. The jump pad change made him so much fun to use, and pros started to, with the takedown of nerf just a little bit, a couple of degrees, started to say, well, why not use Octane for Wraith's mobility? Because Wraith isn't even as safe anymore. She doesn't have the same mobility now that this jump pad takes us so much farther, and we get a double jump, and everybody can use it, and we get them every 60 seconds. Now, we haven't seen the 90 seconds instead of the 60-second ultimate. The 30 seconds they added in this latest patch have an impact yet. I don't think it will. Until Wraith gets a significant buff or Octane gets a significant nerf, he will maintain this spot as the go-to mobile frontline legend, which means you're going to be able to scout. You're going to be what every in-game leader wants to see, because you need mobility as an in-game leader, as your character, because that allows you to scout, to get vision, to be safe, to go up front and then come back and allow you to see a vision of the battlefield to tell your team what to do and where to go. Without movement, it makes it so much harder, which is why you see those team callers win in the high level playing Wraith. Now it's Octane. Octane stays S tier even after the changes that we saw, which is not very much at all. But you could tell that they are looking at that he maybe is a little bit too strong. We'll see how that changes, but go ahead and play some Octane. Pathfinder right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Pathfinder, in my opinion, is an A tier legend. I think Pathfinder is getting better and better. I think he's a solid pick, and I honestly want people to rethink the way that they're looking at Pathfinder. He by no means allows you to win or brings the same level of team utility as Octane. But when it comes to a strong kit in general, Pathfinder has one. He's a recon legend, and he has always been successful. The only reason Pathfinder's dropped out of the meta in terms of high-level picks, in terms of top threes when you're going into the ALGS, the Apex Legends Global Series Competitive Championship, is because Octane can do the job a bit better. You know, Bloodhound can do that job a bit better, and that's really the only reason. When you look at these elements of character value, though, and you just put them in a vacuum, you could do some work with Pathfinder. He's an A-tier legend. I hope all my Pathfinder mains are happy about that. I don't quite yet think that he's jumping back in, but the removal of low profile for all legends in general has helped characters like this who have had issues in regards to just having that little bit of something going against them. I now think he's pretty neutral, and I think in general, a grappling character, 2 sets of mobility with a lot of versatility in how they play the game aggressively or defensively and get away and heal back up is definitely an A-tier legend. You'll see a lot of pros using it, and so should you. Rampart's a C. Rampart has a lot of potential, but she's unlike Wattson, who we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk a little bit about the drama that happened on Twitter, my take on it, and why I'm placing her where she is, although some may disagree with me. Rampart is a Wattson that hasn't really proven herself yet in terms of the meta of Apex Legends. Certain values for characters are innately good for the way that you play a game. If you are playing basketball and you are 7 feet tall, there is an innate value in being 7 feet tall for the game of basketball. For the game of football or soccer, that may not be the case. You might be too tall. You might be a little clumsy. You might not be fast enough or agile enough or have enough cardio to be able to move your body up and down the field for 90 minutes. Now, this is where I think Rampart and Wattson come into play. Rampart is actually a very good kit, you would think, in terms of the way Apex Legends is played. At the highest level, you do like to have these kind of people who are moving at the edge of the ring, doing their best to push late and get into the fray of the fight with the ring at their back and kind of waiting for the zone. And then there are teams who like to get exactly where the zone is. The high-level meta is played where people use these recon legends, Pathfinder, Bloodhound, Valkyrie, and they rotate early. They get to the spot where they anticipate the ring is going to end, and they hold down the strongest spot there. That's where Rampart can come into play. The problem is that this Legends meta has been way too aggressive, and Revenants and Octanes and Wraiths, and when you consider the Bloodhound and the Valkyrie, and then, of course, the utility of a Gibraltar who brings shields like Rampart, but just a better shield, a shield that protects you from everything, not just one little corner in the middle of a fight. She just can't win given the way that it's played. If we go into a Wattson meta, Rampart might actually be pretty good because it'll be a much slower pace. The aggression will be there. The mid-fight, if Gibraltar goes out in the meta, I could see Rampart coming in. But right now, no. As a solo character, I think Rampart brings a lot. But the setup-heavy nature of this game, although you would think it would work for Apex, the way the meta is, it just currently doesn't. And unfortunately, she stays around to see. I know some of y'all will get mad at me, but that's just the way it is. And I wish it was different, especially since she's got a fun kit. And I do love Anjali. She's a great voice actress. I interviewed her. She's so fun. I want her character to be in the meta because I could just hear Rampart lines all the time I'm playing. All right, Wattson. Nah, actually, guys, you know what? Here's the thing. I'm gonna even do this. You guys can see this a little more, so it's a little bit bigger, right? Honestly, guys, Wattson is not F tier. And I know a lot of you guys think that Wattson is. The drama was that there was a designer who I've interviewed, Daniel, he's great, said that, you know, but he's contentious within the community because a lot of pros disagree with his takes because, you know, there's a lot of information behind them and there's a lot of information behind the pros takes, which is Wattson has been played since she was meta in season 3. It's season 9, guys. I mean, come on, let's talk about it. They're like, where's Wattson's buff? Now, they did this little joke that was, you know, listen, Wattson has a major buff, and this rubbed people the wrong way. I mean, I thought it was funny, but it rubbed people the wrong way because it was that Wattson can now place more than one Nessie on the map at a time with their epic emotes. And I could get where somebody might have gotten sensitive. I can see that. Okay, you're getting there. You're saying, oh my God, it's that major buff, my main. Let's go. That's it. Okay. All right. You know, they break out the confetti. They're mid, you know, celebration. You walk in to throw somebody a surprise party. They come in with like another girlfriend or another boyfriend cheating on you. You're like, oh, what? No, this is not how I expected this to go. And I could tell that there was some pain, and that frustration took out on Twitter. They argued, they yelled. There was a lot of, you know, stuff I wouldn't condone. But at the end of the day, the point is that Wattson actually has a kit that is very, very good for Apex Legends. Now, I'm not going to put it in A tier as this is what it is, because no one's playing Wattson at the highest level. But I believe that Wattson, and this is what statistically is supported, is actually a very winning character. Now, it doesn't mean that if everyone started playing her, she would suddenly become bad and we'd see her faults. The reason she's winning, and the reason that I've seen this happen many times, I broke this down on my stream, and I'm going to be streaming right now, actually, twitch.tv/RainDave. For most of you who watch this video, right in the notification squad when you first see it on your homepage and you click on it. So I have little things like that happening, so make sure to click on that those videos when you see them. We could talk more about this. What happens with Wattson when you have characters who are statistically significant, even though their low play rate is not occurring? In a game this big, for a game with 20,000 players, sure, maybe you can make the argument that not enough people play them. But for a game this big with this much data, with millions and millions of players every week, it is very hard to assume that you don't have enough data to basically run a significant test to whether there's enough people playing them to see if their legend win rate is because they're good or because like 5 people play them. And thus Wattson is just won 5 games, right? And 100,000 people play Pathfinder, and he's won 40,000 of those games. So Wattson has a 10% higher win rate or whatever. That's not the way that works in terms of this big of a player base. And Wattson has a kit that is extremely good for high-level ranked and high-level play. we just saw people move away from Wattson. Wattson got a lot of changes, but the reason Wattson is so successful is that the way you play that game when you really hold down a building with a generator, with extra resources, with her kit, with pylon fences to block down doors, and with a naturally small hitbox, these are all things that just statistically move the dial in the favor of you winning more games in a late game circle than not. That's just the way it is. Smaller hitbox characters have higher win rates than bigger hitbox characters. That's just a fact in this game. And so things like that, when you look at it statistically, like if my character has high mobility versus a character that has no mobility, the high mobility character will most likely win more. Because when you can move away from fights or move into fights, you have more options to survive or to get kills. And these are things that when you look from a game design perspective matter. And so those are my 2 cents. I do believe Wattson, if everyone started saying it's the Wattson meta right now, would be performing as about an A-tier legend. The problem is when she's not being played, you don't really get the opportunity to test that. But this is my theory. I hope we see it. I know Wattson needs a little something. We'll see if she gets it. But I believe once Wattson gets that buff and comes back into the meta slightly, she's going to be very, very, very good and played quite a lot. So we'll see how that goes. Wraith. Wraith is great. I think Wraith is here in A-tier as well. Wraith, to me, fulfills this job of being a secondary choice beyond Octane. I think if Octane gets nerfed one more time, Wraith is going to be the main pick for a lot of legends. I know you guys are really smart. You understand what's happened with Wraith over the course of her time here. The only thing holding her back, I think, is really perception, and I think just the value of Wattson. And sometimes that's just the way it goes, right? Somebody's got something a little bit shinier than you, and until that goes away, you know, they kind of steal the spotlight. And that's life sometimes, you know? I mean, unfortunately, you know, I wish it wasn't, but I've seen it all across my life that sometimes there is someone who comes in and just everyone's looking at them for a while, and then that's it. That it was their moment, and then they leave, and now you can have that moment because eyes aren't all focused on this one thing. You know, imagine you're at a party and Brad Pitt comes into the room, you know, or whoever it is, you know, Tom Holland, right? And you got him, you're anime friends and Marvel fans, and he comes in. Nobody's going to be looking at you for those 5 minutes, bro. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be wanting to ask Spider-Man things. And that's it. Then he leaves, then it's time to get your party on. And that's what I think Wraith is at. I think she's just gotten, you know, Spider-Man here by Octane. All right, you can tell I've been watching the Marvel movies. Fuse, unfortunately, man, Fuse. You know, we had a conversation. I put him at D, and I think D is probably the lowest I will put a character. But even to be honest, I think Fuse is a D because truly Fuse is a character that just doesn't have the skills right now and no way out. It is very tough. You know, when I interviewed Respawn, they told me this. That made me just shocked. They said, you know, we made almost an incorrect decision using an ability-focused kit on a character. Because if we make their abilities so strong, they're going to dominate without having to play the game. And if we make them so weak, they're not going to be effective and have any utility to bring to a team. And in a game where we have decided that abilities should not win you the game, but should help you and assist you, it is a very tough spot for him to be in. And in fact, this is the hardest challenge they have. It's not Wattson. It's not Rampart. It is Fuse. How do you make an ability-based character good in a game where abilities can't win? They can help, but they shouldn't win. You know, I think it's interesting because when you look at this dynamic, there are characters, and we're going to speak about this character right here, who I think is just, boom, making a climb. I think Revenant, I think this is a combo right here. I think Revenant is probably an S-tier legend. He's a character that is run pretty much by his abilities, very interestingly enough. And yet, in the same vein, they're not damage abilities. They are utility abilities to then you have to go do the damage. And that's, I think, the big difference. But in terms of abilities actually having an impact, we all know abilities make a big difference for all these characters. But the fact that he's just a damage guy, it's tough. Revenant got a lot of great changes. And his play rate over the course of the season is pretty much tripled. His impact at high level has become undeniably strong. And yet we haven't seen it completely take hold of the meta by storm. But I believe that he has the qualities and the potential paired with Octane to be one of the deadliest legends in the game and be a pick that you go, we got to run this. The hitbox has been slimmed down, which is one of his bigger problems. You can see the legs have been slimmed down. You can see the midsection has been slimmed down. And the stalker climb height is significant. You can now climb up to Capital City's highest building without stopping. You can basically climb up to almost any building in Apex Legends just with Revenant's passive, which is a huge little bit of a learning curve, but then you get so much value. The silence got nerfed a little bit, but hey, 20 seconds of no abilities to 15. Come on. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. The real difference is the duration of death protection being 5 seconds less is what could maybe keep him in check. I think this was a good change because even though Revenant can be S tier with proper execution, he's not going to be running rampant, feeling like he's getting free kills, especially with those last 5 seconds. There's a lot of times I'm running Rev and my ultimate runs out right when I'm about to like have that second part of that initiating fight that I just made, and I'm in a really bad position. And that's what I think is going to mean that Revenant has to be played at a high level in order to be successful, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have the potential. An amazing legend. I'm going to throw another legend up here. Valkyrie. I think Valkyrie is one of the best legends and one of the best characters I've ever seen introduced into a live game. Here's the reason. Valkyrie does everything you want in Apex Legends and a little bit more. She has mobility with her own personal level of mobility to outmaneuver almost anyone in high ground, low ground, in any situation. She has fantastic recon ability, which she can read recons so that she can understand where the next circle is. She can see people whenever she's redeploying down below her, which gives you an amazing advantage when trying to land safely off a balloon, off a ship, or off of your ultimate. And your ultimate allows you to continually have a better position than your other teams that you're facing, as long as you're smart and conscious of how you use it. You have every bit of information you need. You see where people are. You can go up into the sky. You can go right. You have the flight ability. You can break off teammates. There's almost no negative there. And it is so powerful that, honestly, Valkyrie is an S tier legend. If you're not understanding her potential, maybe I should do a little Valkyrie video, or maybe talk about how to play Valkyrie, just something so you guys can get the value, because it is so good. And I hope that we see more and more of her. In fact, it was a quote from one of the very high-level pros in Apex Legends on Twitter after they lost in this latest $2.5 million championship. They said, I didn't realize that Valkyrie is a must-have. Like, there's just no way to play this game without having a Valkyrie on your team. So many times we got pushed out of our spot. We lost a good spot we should have had. We couldn't rotate because people were waiting for us. That was my biggest mistake in this tournament, not realizing how meta and how must-have Valkyrie is. All right. I think that says it all. I think Crypto right here, man. Crypto is a legend that I would probably put in a A-tier slot. I think Crypto is fantastic in terms of his drone, his EMP. The problem with Crypto is not how good he is, it's how much people play him. He's actually got a pretty low play rate. And I think that just means there's a lot of dedicated Crypto fans out there. I love my Crypto fans. Shout out to Johnny. Follow me on Twitter. We're going to play some Apex games. Crypto's voice actor. We've been talking on Twitter, so hopefully play some games. You guys let me know in the comments if you want to see something like that. Remember, I'm still having my coffee, guys. But I think Crypto is in a fantastic spot to catapult himself into the meta in some ways. I just believe his kit is not as fun as a casual player would want, and is always going to be more of leaning towards a dedicated audience of people who like a little bit slow, a little bit methodical, and a little bit more tactical play. When you look at Octane and you look at Horizon or Loba or Bloodhound, these are kind of running gun characters, which typically are going to be more popular in a shooter type game. And that's unfortunate for Crypto if you want him to be the most played character. But in terms of a kit, when you combine him on a squad, especially you look like maybe like an Octane Gibby Crypto, you have a lot of mobility. You have a lot of defensive utility. You still have your recon legend there. Crypto can do the job for you. The EMPs help really to counter out the Gibraltar meta that's going on there. And you can bring your Gibraltar in with the Octane quickly with a jump pad. And then you'll have the only Gibraltar shield in that final fight, forcing a lot of people to make decisions that they didn't want to make. There's just a lot of value. He does beacons better than anybody. He does respawns better than anybody. He gets banners better than anybody. So he has the skills. But I'm not sure if it's his high time right now. Caustic. Caustic right now, you know what? Caustic's B tier. Caustic's great. Caustic's had his time. I try to say it like this. Caustic, Wattson, relax. You guys have had your time. You're not the best anymore. I understand. But you still got skills. Let somebody at the bottom end of this list jump the line for a second. Let Rampart and Fuse have their heyday before y'all start complaining about seconds, getting back in line, cutting people, okay? This is all I'm trying to say. Caustic is in the same position. He has not offered much since he's been nerfed, since he had that incredible Caustic meta. That, again, just so you guys know, and just to compare to my Wattson story, Caustic got pretty much a bunch of changes. No one played him at all still. Suddenly, after a while, there was a team in Europe called Alliance, and Alliance Hawkes, that played Caustic, and they won the dang tournament. It was the first Caustic we saw. They won the dang tournament. You know what happened after that? Everyone started playing Caustic. I'm not lying. In Europe, everybody started getting into this Caustic meta. And Caustic drove the meta for months. Did Caustic get this crazy buff that everyone said you had to play Caustic? No, there were no Caustics in the lobby until one team at a high level decided to do it, because that's how it goes. I mean, the top dogs decide something works, and then they make it work. Then everyone copies, and then therefore we are now in that meta where you see that character all the time, and their win rates go up, and their value goes up, and their perceived value goes up. You know, Elon Musk tweets about Dogecoin, and Dogecoin goes up. It's like, you know, if you're into stocks, it's very similar in terms of the way that perceived value is value. And therefore, in Apex Legends, you have to look at what base kit, if it got the perceived value of being strong, what base kit would succeed. I believe Wattson's in that position. She just needs that little urge from someone to go, hey, we're going into this Wattson meta. And hopefully, again, like I think, maybe she'll get a little buff. Gibraltar, he's an S tier legend as well. This is one of those legends that essentially are all kind of must picks, must haves on your team. And Gibraltar is probably the single most important legend over the last year of Apex Legends. Probably does things better in some regards than almost anyone else, and is in a very interesting spot statistically, because he doesn't get picked as much, but when you pick him, you win a lot. And that is a very hard place to balance. It's the same place Wattson's in terms of, I think, high level expectation. And I think when you look at Gibraltar, he has something that is just completely, I don't know, just made the Apex Legends community, I don't want to say tunnel vision on what he can do. And it's really the shield in his ultimate. When you look at the shield in his ultimate on both accounts, his gun shield, which allows you to win almost any duel you're in with someone else because you have 15% less damage. You have 50 damage on your gun shield that you can block from a bullet. You have bugs now that have been fixed that were causing extra bleed through damage on that. So he's even stronger now based on some of these bug fixes. You have a shield you can put on that forces exact scenarios that you expect, which is you're now going to have to come into my shield and do this little sidestep thing with me while I have my shield up. We're both going to be sidestepping. I mean, battle royales are unpredictable, yet this character, by throwing his shield, makes you do the most predictable thing ever. So all you got to do is get good at fighting like that, right? What other legend? There's very few legends that have one button they press that makes everyone do the same thing. Hey, let's go. Let's fight. Let's do this little jukey fight. Every time. This man, all he's got to do is in his sleep practice, just hitting those shots, just visualize it. And he's going to be a better Gibraltar. And the fact that his ultimate is the only thing that really saves you from his ultimate is his own shield, forcing other players to pick up Gibraltar in case there's Gibraltar ultimates in final circles. It's just a kind of a cascading impact. Gibraltar is, and probably will be until he gets any change, which I don't know if it'll ever come in a big way, going to be the staple of almost every lineup that we see until somebody learns how to punish it. And I'm just not sure how you can punish it. Crypto EMP can punish it, but not consistently, since that's an ult versus a tactical. It's going to be tough. Horizon, I'm going to put in the A tier situation. She really is better, in my opinion, than Caustic. I think she's got a lot of movement capabilities here. I think when you look at Horizon's gravity lift and her black hole, I believe that Horizon's kind of just fallen out of favor. There's not really the best meta for her anymore right now. And I think as for an individual legend, she performs really well still. She's just not got that team utility in the way that Octane has. She has the movement and the gravity bomb, essentially the ultimate. It is a very strong ult, but you can also tell that there's a lot of work to be done once you hit it. There's still a lot of work to be done once you hit it. Any Horizon mains out there, you guys probably know that you can get the job done with her, but she's not the same as she was before that nerf, making her almost this kind of really unfightable character for sometimes. And now people are going to have to find a new way to be impactful with her. I love her spacewalk. I think there's a version of mobility that with like a Valkyrie, a Horizon, and a Gibraltar or something like that, that could be a very interesting combo. Because remember, you know, coming out from the sky, Horizon has that light foot passive, which means she basically gets the first shot on you. She basically drops down without taking that huge clunk and then having to bring your weapon back up and then start fighting. And that light feet passive actually is a huge advantage when you're coming down from the sky and trying to instantly fight someone. And you can have, you know, a bit of an advantage coming from a Valkyrie ult, redeploying every time. So that's something to consider. Will it be the next best thing? Probably not, but something to consider. I can see that playing. Lifeline, I think, is a B. I don't think she gets any love right now. She's a winning character. She's a high-played character. She's a fan favorite. She got some changes up and coming here in this hitbox, making her a little bit slimmer here on some of these hitbox angles. You could see much more in terms of close to the chest. This is a little bit farther away, especially in that side. And you can also see, however, that this actually matches a little bit more in terms of her nose. She actually got a slightly bigger hitbox here on her face. So a little bit of an adjustment for Lifeline, especially in a midsection area to make her a little bit more hittable. And it you know, it's not necessarily what you would want to see because she's not in the meta. Will she get into the meta in a high level? I don't know. Are people sleeping on her care package now that it's got guaranteed upgrades? Nodding off. I don't know about sleeping. Nodding off, you know, that little class nod. You know, you like catch yourself falling asleep in class. They're doing that. They're not full sleep. I don't think it's that good. And we've had actually a very hard time seeing legends with the healer legends really come out and be impactful. We've seen defensive, we've seen offensive, we've seen recon really be the staple of what Apex Legends is about. But these legends haven't really hit meta. And unfortunately for Lifeline, she's fun to play, but she is not a guaranteed pick. However, someone who could start to change the meta that we saw in Europe is Loba. Loba, to me, ranks right in this area. And actually, if you were in Europe, you would put her here. Because every time Loba played in Europe, every day almost, she won the first game and multiple games. Any team with a Loba. And we started to see that the way they used her black market boutique in the final zone was beautiful. They would wait until all these death boxes were there. And when the team would go ahead and kill somebody and take their stuff, a black market boutique just in the shop, maybe away undercover, could just loot up all that gear. They take the shield. They have an extra shield swap. They take all the ammo. They have all the ammo. They take all the grenades. They have these grenades. And every 90 seconds, or it was 60 seconds, every 90 seconds now, you could have another one. And that's 3 teammates getting 6 items plus unlimited amounts of ammo. So you're never running out of anything that you need in the final circle. And the way that that game is played, the slow-moving, patient, nobody kind of encroaches till they have to, made Loba this all-star. So for me, what's more indicative? That North America didn't give Loba a chance? That no one played Loba in North America? I think that says a lot about North America and their unwillingness to check out what might work. And I think that's always what we've seen. Europe is a little bit more diverse, a little bit more experimental. They brought in the Caustic. They brought in the Loba. They've brought in a lot of things and championed it. And North America is a little bit slower to follow on that. And that doesn't mean that wouldn't have worked. So in my opinion, I'm actually going to put Loba as a top-tier legend. I believe Loba has everything you need from a personal perspective. I believe she is a legend that brings enough to a team that's dedicated in the final circle to be so valuable that will guarantee you winning games. And I honestly believe that we should see more of her. I think we should see more combinations with Loba. If the meta stays the same, Loba is a fantastic, fantastic character. And she's one of the only characters that has kind of burst mobility outside of Octane and maybe Valkyrie, which we've seen in the meta. All these other legends are not in the meta and don't have burst mobility. Like, I'll go from A to B fast. You know, a lot of characters have speed, but Octane and Valkyrie are maybe the only characters, and really Octane we're talking about, that have burst mobility. Loba matches that. Very interesting, guys. I'm excited to see that. Let me know what you think about Loba being S tier. I believe she is. All right, Mirage. Mirage, honestly, he's like a C tier character. Mirage is basically this. Every other legend right here, few legends below him, Mirage just does this. Mirage has his crew. They have their fans, and they love what they're doing. And I love Mirage. And for that, I don't think he's ever going to change. I think the devs have also mentioned that they're worried about a Mirage meta. And I think that's a problem. Like a lot of decoys being hard to see and being very unreadable and just frustrating. Yeah, I could see that. And I honestly think that he's got a normal size hitbox. Decoy's a pretty good 1v1 fight. Even great players, even really good players will often, occasionally get a decoy, just throw them off and they'll shoot it. A decoy acts like a mini, lesser, more personal version of a Bloodhound scan. You get to see where the enemy is that shot it, but you don't get to see them outlined. But that's still really good information. And, in a fight, if you get the first shot on someone and they shoot at your decoy, I mean, you should win that fight if you're both equal in skill. And so, yeah, Mirage, I think, just stays pretty even. There's nothing that elevates him over these characters who have game-breaking or team-wide abilities. And that's where he's always struggled. They're very, solo abilities. Even though that decoy does get pinged to his whole team, where that person shot it is, it's still a very solo experience you would feel playing Mirage. And I'm okay with that. Not every legend needs to be high level. That's where Mirage is. Bangalore. Oh, baby. Bangalore is phenomenal. I cannot wait to talk about Bang. Bang is really one of the first legends I talked about last video that I did this. And in this mid-season conversation, I think Bang has stayed... I don't know if I put her at B, but I feel like I probably put her at A, and I think she belongs there. Bangalore showed so much grit played by Shiv in the European championships. He was one move away from actually stopping the championship tournament from ending by himself as a Bangalore, running around, smoking, almost taking down these top two teams that had to win as almost a solo heroic, keeping the tournament alive for everyone. He couldn't pull it off, but I think it was going to show the versatility and the scrappiness that Bangalore players can have. Their smoke is more effective than ever. It got that occlusion fix, which meant that it was easy to see through the smoke. It wasn't occluding the information inside of it well enough, and now they fixed a bug that was causing that a couple patches ago, and it is extremely hard to see within the smoke without a type of digital threat. It comes on the Peacekeeper, so that's a good little balance note. But what I've always noticed is that digital threats aren't as strong and as popular in the high level as you would think, because there's really no need for it. Even when I was in Poland 2 years ago casting Apex, and Gen G, when they were in Apex Legends, my org, by the way, actually was playing professionally. We were talking about it like, no one really runs digi threats, man. I mean, by the way, it's kind of nice having smokes. And I think smokes have become so much more... we've seen the way Shiv does it to really smoke a team that is in a vantage point, maybe shooting at you, right? Throwing the smoke at them. Now they got to move. They can't just wait for 15 seconds for that to clear up. They can't see anything. And so they're just sitting there. They could be getting thrown grenades on. They could be getting pushed on. They almost are, just with one ability, forced to stop fighting you. And that's the power. That's the power of Bangalore. Plus, she's a good hitbox size. Great double time passive, getting that 30% bonus movement speed whenever you're getting shot at, not even hit, you're shot at. And her ultimate, I think, is great. She's a character I want to dive into a little bit more. Why I think people are underestimating Bangalore. Maybe do something around it. I don't know. I've been playing her a lot lately, and I kind of want to do something for her. And so you guys let me know what you think about that one. But I got a series that I'm thinking about maybe trying to kickstart, and maybe Bangalore is the one I do it for. All right, let's see. Shiv, thank you for that one. We're going to Bloodhound here. Bloodhound's going to go S tier. These are the legends you see in competitive, and these are the legends you will see in competitive. I don't think anyone has broken that, and you're going to see Bloodhound here. But Bloodhound got a bit of a nerf. Bloodhound's big nerf was I have the Allfather decreased from 4 to 3 seconds in terms of you are scanned that level. And Beast of the Hunt, the duration decreased from 35 to 30 seconds. That's pretty good, but it's not enough to fully bump Bloodhound down. I think Bloodhound's very popular. They are only second to Octane, I believe, in terms of pick rate. So very popular. A lot of players love Bloodhound. but also maybe the most frustrating to play against, because when you get scanned, there's really nothing that any legend does to you frequently in this list. Like, Revenant isn't throwing a silence on you all game. You're not getting hit with Valkyrie missiles all game. Gibraltar isn't, like, throwing a shoot. I mean, Octane isn't, like, Octane's jump pad is for him. You're not feeling that as a player. Loba's not doing anything to you. Bangalore's smoking you, but not that often. Horizon is just getting away. Crypto EMP, that's an ultimate, not much. She does her own thing. Wattson, she's defensive. Pathfinder, he just grapples. Caustic gas, that's annoying, but it's not happening as frequently because he's out of the meta. You look at all these characters, Fuse, Knuckle, Cluster, I mean, barely we're seeing any fuses. There's one legend that actively is doing things to you that are annoying to you, and it's Bloodhound. Getting scammed by Bloodhound is probably the most negative thing that a legend does to you at the highest rate in Apex Legends. And so they fixed it. So you don't just have to stand there for 4 seconds, and now it's 3. And they also decreased the ultimate. Does this fix everything? No, I still think it's very frustrating. But Bloodhound is one nerf away from, I think, experimenting starting to come into play for the Apex Legends community. What nerf is that? Well, that's what you guys have to tell me in the comment section below. What do you think about this list? S, A, B, C, D. No one hits the E and F marks this time around, but I cannot wait to do this again for Season 10 when it comes up. We got some exciting stuff happening for Season 10 that I cannot speak about, but oh boy, it is exciting. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. That really does help me know that you like this content. And subscribe for more. If you are a new viewer, welcome. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I usually don't have these glasses on. Usually, take them off, but, brain day for this. I decided to do it. Also, I'm streaming twitch.tv/rainday right now. So come hang out. And if I'm not, well, sorry, but I should be if you're here early. Okay,